In recent months, I have seen a surge of recommendations pointing towards this one ad. Or should I say, a series of ads. See, back around 12 years ago, these creepy Japanese McDonald's ads went viral, and everyone had seen these ads at the time. And if you're not familiar, well, essentially this series of ads are 4 separate commercials, all featuring Ronald McDonald in terrifying situations, such as him attempting to break into someone's home, or just casually hiding under a girl's bed. It's a strange portrayal of the otherwise heartwarming clown, but strange and Japan practically go hand in hand. Japan has a history of weird commercials, so it's no surprise that so many of us thought these were real ads, and I wouldn't be surprised if the people who suggested this video to me were also kids thinking this stuff was real. There's a whole new generation of internet users out there. Eventually, the stuff I found creepy when I was a kid is most likely going to be regurgitated back on my lap. Well, I'm about to spoil the magic for y'all and I guess solve this little mystery. These are fake, and I think most of us can see that. Hindsight is 2020 though. A lot of us were dumb idiot kids that believed in Slender Man back then, okay? Lay off the new generation. But looking back on these, like, they're so obviously fake. Like, it's so low budget, and just it really makes you wonder why so many people were fooled by it in the first place. I personally always knew that these were dumb parodies, but a shocking amount of my friends and people that I knew really thought that these were actually aired on Japanese television. I actually still think the running McDonald's one is funnier than it is actually really intimidating like it's supposed to be. Like, look at him go, there he goes! Anyways, aside from the looking fakeness and the clearly being a parodiness, we can also trace back to the video's origin to see who really created this, and sure enough, the oldest upload of this video was from Kikshin, uploaded on July 5th, 2007. It's funny, it's actually not the most popular version of the upload, though that's not surprising when you consider YouTube wasn't really very popular in Japan at the time. So most of the views came from unsuspecting Westerners. Exploring Kikshin's profile, you can actually see that they've made dozens of prank videos and skits over the years. They were pretty active around the 2000s, and I don't really know if they work on anything now, but it would seem that they've kind of declined in activity. They sort of remind me of Mega 64 and how they used to do social skits and parodies, you know, minus the game references. Anyways, it's interesting to note that among these parodies and skits is the returning character of Donald Jackie. Yes, you heard me. Donald fucking Jackie. Not Ronald McDonald. Oh, hell no. Nah, this dude would kick that smiling cunt's ass in a heartbeat. Look at him. He's taking on a whole row of Japanese dudes for no reason. Actually, no, there is a reason. It's the reason to fight. For what? For the love of it. What are these clerks' problems anyways? Donald Jackie just stopped by a 7-Eleven and is getting brutally assaulted by these thug cashiers. I guess people really do hate clowns. There are other skits of Donald Jackie just walking around Japan, you know, shenanigans ensue, but I can't speak Japanese, so I can't really say what is going on. I can't understand any of it at all. I'm sorry, but this is as far as I can go. But in the end, while these commercials might have traumatized some of you, these are nothing really more than just harmless skits, right? Right? I take a surprising amount of risks whenever I accept suggestions for future videos. Not to seem ungrateful or anything, without the suggestions you guys give me daily, I would really be unable to make half of the cool content you see on my channel now. And what I mean by this is the longer I take getting to your suggestion, the more likely that suggestion will either get lost in the sea of emails or they'll end up being covered by someone else. Or in the worst case scenario, the video or content I'm told to cover is deleted off the face of the earth. That's what happened to one Redditor suggestion over on my subreddit, r/Goose, by the way. User Meme Loop informed me of this horrifying Spotify account simply titled Zazumi. At first glance, it seems like any other Spotify lo-fi artist. The blue and pink retro colors, the small amount of listeners, and its pretty ambiguous titles. If you were to see this, you'd honestly believe it's nothing spooky at all. Until, of course, you actually start listening to the audio, which I would happily show you if it still existed. Unfortunately, this suggestion was given to me 4 months ago, and I took note of it for a future episode. And that future episode is now, and Zazumi is gone everywhere. Now, I wouldn't normally make a mini mysteries episode on something that doesn't really exist, nor if I have little to no info on it. However, this is a special case because before this page was actually taken down for one reason or another, I actually listened to each and every one of these songs. Well, if you can call them that. In reality, each track isn't really a song, but rather prayers. See, the aesthetic of the profile would have you fooled into believing that this is a legitimate artist, but the reality is, each and every track were recordings from a mosque. I remember vividly that the audio was muffled, as if stuffed into someone's pocket, and you could hear several people talking. Every now and again, the imam reciting parts of the Quran as echoes reverberating within the mosque itself, and his voice is echoing across the building. Now, admittedly, I am only assuming that what I heard was recorded prayers from a mosque. I don't understand Arabic in the slightest, but when I did show somebody who I'm friends with who is a Muslim, they really couldn't make out everything this person was saying. The audio is, after all, muffled as if stuffed into someone's pocket, but nevertheless, they agreed that this was most likely recorded during lectures and prayers. Now the question remains, why? Like I said, there's a handful of weird tracks out there on Spotify that you can easily find if you just dig deep enough. But the reason behind this profile page's existence really eludes me. It's one thing to upload prayers on Spotify, but it's a different level of weird when you consider this person has dozens of songs that are named as if they were supposed to be lo-fi hip-hop music. I mean, seriously, go on Spotify, look up lo-fi hip-hop music. It's exactly worded and exactly titled just like those songs. And let's not forget that they also have official album art for each album that they have. Unfortunately, I could only find one. Could it be possible this artist accidentally uploaded the wrong music files? Maybe even lectures from when they visited their local mosque? If that's what was being streamed on Spotify, then why and how did Spotify let this through? It's not just something you let go by. I mean, I've heard a weird amount of Spotify songs in the past, but this seemed a bit strange and perhaps even blasphemous. I have asked a friend of mine, Trey Watson, a musician who has actually uploaded on Spotify and continues to upload nowadays. Oh, and by the way, he's the main composer behind the Traumathon 2 theme, so give him a shout out. And I asked him whether it was possible to just let anyone upload on Spotify. And the short answer is yes, but it depends where you upload. Regardless of where you upload, however, anyone and everyone has the potential to just upload anything, provided you use the right service. However, this was irrelevant because Zazumi wasn't just on Spotify, Zazumi was everywhere. Now, I've looked and looked and looked, and unfortunately, Zazumi the musician can no longer be found anywhere online, or at least their music can no longer be found. There's really only a breadcrumb trail left behind by Zazumi, places where Zazumi once uploaded, but for one reason or another, ultimately deleted everything. They were on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music, YouTube Music. Jesus Christ, there's a lot of streaming services. I really hate this. Deezer. I mean, hell, if you search up Zazumi on Google, you'll find their discography. This artist existed, but they're gone now. What happened? Did they get banned literally everywhere? Did they delete every one of their songs? I don't even remember seeing any other album other than Dreamer on their Spotify. Yet according to Google, this person has multiple albums and songs all uploaded around 2020. There's even album art you can find online. Like I mentioned, it existed before. Whoever this person was and whatever their music meant is largely a mystery, one that less than a few hundred people were able to witness. It's something I can't even describe. It's something that I want to find, but there's nothing left. And I really wish I could tell you more, and I wish I could just find something about this dude. But everywhere I've looked, he's existed there, but no longer does. It's frustrating, and I am going off script right now because it's seriously something I want to figure out, but can't. It's like having a Rubik's Cube that has one cube with literally no colors whatsoever. It's so frustrating. But I'm never going to forget what I heard. This is a weird rumor I seldom ever see anyone talk about, but it intrigued me enough to talk about it. I'm sure I don't need to talk about what The Wizard of Oz is. It's possibly one of the most recognized films in all of human history, and I'm also certain that at least 99% of you watched it in school or participated in a school play or something relating to it. It's huge, much like the second key aspect of this rumor, Pink Floyd. Be it from your brother, your dad, Doug Walker, JoJo, or yourself, somewhere or another, we've all been exposed to the band and their music. I literally cannot condense their entire history and influence on the music industry in just a few short minutes, so I won't even try. Though, for the unaware, do keep in mind that Pink Floyd has a reputation for pushing the boundaries on music and the industry of entertainment as a whole. They've done several psychedelic experimental projects, from tracks, albums, and even movies. They weren't a contemporary band that just played music. They lived the lives of artists, which comes wrought with both beauty and tragedy. With a reputation like that, it was no wonder that there were rumors spreading about by Pink Floyd fans about a certain album that allegedly alludes itself as an allegory for The Wizard of Oz. The theory goes that if you start playing the movie simultaneously alongside the album Dark Side of the Moon, then you would find several moments of synchronicities, as in the album itself would correspond to events and scenes of the film. When things got hectic, then the music got hectic. When certain key moments appeared, then certain sound cues would appear, or even certain songs would reference the scene itself. Here's a good example. The very first time we see the witch in the film, not in Oz, actually pre-Oz, at around 8 minutes into the film, the witch can be seen riding on her bike. Normally, this will be the part where the movie plays her little theme song, and ooh, there she is, the witch. But with the album, you'll instead hear loud bells and clocks going off. In another instance, when Dorothy first meets the Scarecrow, the song Brain Damage begins to play the moment Scarecrow starts his song, which is about how he doesn't have a brain. The rumor started around the 90s when the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette published a story by Charles Savage, who had seen this theory spawn out of a Pink Floyd news group, which I don't really know how to explain news groups, honestly. They're kind of like subreddits of the 90s, sorta. Not really. I'm not sure. News groups were even before my time. They're old school chat rooms that just Google it. I can't even figure it out myself. Point is, Charles Savage wasn't the guy who made the theory. It was some rando online. He only just published the idea through a gazette. And ever since then, it's spread like wildfire. People from radio shows talked about it. People in popular media talked about it. It has a little bit of credibility because Savage himself has experienced this, and he said it was a sort of eye-opener. Several scenes actually matched up with the audio. Many lyrics matched with the actions of the characters or even referenced them. The melody changes depending on the action taking place on screen. I gotta be honest, this seems very convincing, especially when the Wicked Witch shows up in Oz and the word black syncs up with her arrival. Or when Dorothy and the gang run up to the door on the Wicked Witch's house, or her castle, I should say, and it slams in front of them, and that's when you hear "All That You Touch." And this is followed by "All That You See," shortly before Dorothy actually turns around and sees the witch. And of course, the final scene of the movie where Dorothy goes back home and the Pink Floyd song Time syncs up with the movie, Home, Home Again. There are several instances like this that happen throughout the entire movie, and of course you have to repeat the entire album if you want to see the synchronicities continue, but regardless, it still continues onward throughout the entire flick. And unfortunately, while I'd love to show you more examples, keep in mind that The Wizard of Oz and Pink Floyd are heavily copyrighted, so instead, I'll be linking a YouTube video of The Wizard of Oz in its entirety, synced up with Dark Side of the Moon. Tell me what sort of synchronicities you find. Well, there's already a ton that people in the comment section have already claimed. Several moments of the movie sync up with the music, and some have even time-stamped it for your convenience. Now, with all that being said, let's not forget that this is just an urban legend. The members of Pink Floyd have constantly denied over the years that the album somehow syncs up with The Wizard of Oz, with even David Gilmour claiming that it's the result of someone with too much time on their hands. But even if it's told through the band members themselves, many fans still disagree with them. I'm sorry, I just think that's hilarious. I mean, Christ, can you believe that? The guys behind the album, the music itself, say that it's not true, yet fans are not convinced. That's like when the US government disclosed actual, legitimately real UFO info to the public, and everyone around the world just shrugged and said, eh. Listen, logically speaking, this urban legend is most likely spawned from our brains, and I mean that literally. The human brain is really good at recognizing patterns where there are none. It does so every single day. We see shapes in the clouds, we find meaning in the smallest things, and we connect the dots when there aren't any dots available to us. That's just what makes us human. We're even so good at pattern recognition that we've developed in our brains a way to discard any sort of information that doesn't align with our current pattern. We are constantly curious, and seeing a few synchronicities in The Wizard of Oz and Pink Floyd excites us, as much as we know that it's really nothing special, nor does it lead to anything grand. I've even heard some naysayers stating that you could sync up any album with The Wizard of Oz that runs at around the same runtime and you'd get just about the same results, and vice versa. Just play Dark Side of the Moon with any movie, like, I don't know, Batman or Shrek. There will be undoubtedly a ton of synchronicities. Go ahead, try it. I'm serious. Like, try it out. I'm sure it's on Spotify, their whole album, and just find one of your favorite films and sync it up. And I seriously want to hear your results. Put it in the comments down below. I'd love to hear what the results are. Regardless, that doesn't mean that this is any less fun. I mean, it really is fun to revisit a classic movie in a brand new light. Hell, why stop at Dark Side of the Moon? Just play your favorite albums with any of your favorite movies and you're bound to find something that syncs up with that movie. The urban legend has spanned for nearly 3 decades now, and people have found different variations of Pink Floyd albums synchronizing with different movies. Famous vor fetishist Griffin McElroy has claimed that Dark Side of the Moon actually syncs up beautifully with Paul Blart Mall Cop 2. I've even heard that WALL-E syncs up with The Wall, if you could believe that. As for myself, well, do I believe that? I don't know. I mean, I don't think I do. I like to keep things simple in my life. Overthinking silly stuff is fun, sure, but I rarely take that sort of stuff seriously. I think Pink Floyd would have gone through several hoops and spent a lot more time than needed on the album if they really wanted to perfectly sync up with The Wizard of Oz. What's the point of slightly syncing up every now and again when they should have just gone all out and aimed for pure synchronicity? I highly doubt they'd waste their time trying to make music that syncs up with The Wizard of Oz for no reason other than to be, well, actually that just sounds like Pink Floyd, but I'm pretty sure they didn't do that. So no, I'm not a true believer of this urban legend, but I will say it's a lot of fun. In fact, if you could believe it, I first heard about this urban legend through the Angry Video Game Nerd. Yeah, seriously. See, I usually put his videos up in the background whenever I'm working as sort of, background noise, and I remember somewhere around season 3, the video's audio goes completely blank for like a solid minute or two, and a block of text appears. I always grabbed my remote and skipped that part and went straight to the review without actually reading it. Well, this time around I decided to read it, and what do you know? It describes the entire dark side of the rainbow theory in detail. This isn't too surprising when you know James Rolfe is an avid rocker and metalhead who grew up with Metallica, Queen, Van Halen, Aerosmith, and of course, Pink Floyd. Well, what's funny is that in this very description, while explaining the urban myth, James actually hints at the possibility that this very episode syncs up with the dark side of the moon. Huh. Wait, that can't be possible, right? Well, there's only one way to find out.